Good evening, everybody. This is Edge from Edge Plays. And again, another episode of the Edgecast. With me this evening is N7 Kate and Dante.
Hey, hello guys. It's good to be back. It's been a while since I've been on the Edgecast because obviously we've been ill, but getting there, and it's good to be back again.
Yo,
Yeah.
internets. I'm still ill.
You're always ill.
Yeah.
No, it's good to see. It's definitely good to see you both doing a lot better. And obviously we did the Left 4 Dead stream recently, so that's been it's good to see you back in action. Even if you didn't, even if you did shoot me in the ass again, probably somewhere.
Well, there was a lot of zombies, but I did actually start enjoying the shotgun a lot in that last stream that we were playing. I don't know if you've had a chance to watch it back, but it's pretty amusing.
I've definitely watched bits. I've generally enjoyed. I enjoy. I have a weird one with Left 4 Dead, where it's like I'll use nothing but melee weapons, or I'll go to two handguns, or I'll go to the sniper rifle, or it depends on the map for me. I think sometimes what gun I want to use.
Yeah.
But
I've enjoyed playing Left 4 Dead 2 again. It's been good to be back playing it, which has been nice.
I've had more fun though with Left 4 Dead than I have had with Back 4 Blood.
Yeah, we've already talked about Back 4 Blood before, but they got so many things wrong with that game, from the balancing to the level map designs, like
this will be spoilers for the end of year review
stuff.
Yes,
that's probably going to be one of. Oh, did that come out last year or this year?
I think it came out this year. Pretty much.
Did it really? God, oh my God! I can't believe we've only got another 2 months left in 2022. Which is
Tell
insane
me about
for
it.
me. That's absolutely mad. I'm like, oh my God, I got so many games still to play. And obviously I've got to start getting my thoughts together for the end of year stuff that we usually do. And I've played a lot more indie games this year, so my my perspective on things has shifted a little bit. But that's probably going to be one of my most disappointed games of this year, for sure. Easily. It's a shame, but I am looking forward to 40k at Warhammer 40k Dark Tide, which is coming out on the 30th of November. That's another Left 4 Dead style game where it's kind of like you play through the story campaign together cooperatively, like through levels. And I played the closed beta and I really enjoyed it. You've got like different classes and stuff, but it's coming on the Game Pass, which I'm hyped about because then obviously at least the three of us can definitely play it if you're interested.
On the Game Pass, I'll be able to download that on the day of release. Definitely.
I may well just throw some coin at Fish and give him like a month or two subscription on the Game Pass just to be able to join us if he's not wanting to do that himself, which I understand. But we'll see. It's definitely one I'm interested in picking up, and I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Well, yeah, true.
So it could be something that replaces Left 4 Dead maybe after we finish that.
Well, yeah, we've only got, I think, another episode or two left potentially of that, and then we're moving on to other games. For anyone who watches recently in the episodes of the podcast, the beginning of the podcast, we do kind of things we've enjoyed, things we've been up to in the last few days or week. Bit of positivity, because obviously there's a lot of negative stuff in the world going on. It's nice to have a little bit of a fun topic stuff before getting into the meat of the discussion of the podcast. So, Kate and Dante, anything fun this week you've been up to?
Do you want to go first, Dante? Because I've been talking quite a bit. I'll let you go first.
Okay then. Fun-wise, I would say Mario and Rabbids, the sequel to Kingdom Battle, Sparks of Hope, has been fun play. Finally completed it yesterday.
Oh, it's great.
Well, the story anyway. It's like, there's so many side quests and stuff to try and get 100%. But yeah, that was just a joy to play. It was like, they've really improved on the XCOM style mechanics they had from the first game, and just made it much more fluid and just more versatile and fun to play. And the comedy is still there, the awesome cutscenes, the new little bits of voice acting they're throwing in with some of the Rabbids. You just can't not love these characters.
That threw me off to start with, though, the voice acting.
Yeah.
But it did grow on me, I will admit. Especially Rabbit Peach and Rabbit Rosalina, who's just basically a teenager, a sulky teenager. So good.
Yeah.
Wow. It's a weird mix, but I remember when Raven Rabbids first came out on the Wii, but it was a fun game back then. So
Yeah, I've been obviously just watching you play it, but I've really enjoyed it, and yeah, we're probably going to do a review discussion on that, Dante. Maybe try and keep it to like 5 to 10 minutes or something, when we're a little bit more alive.
Yeah, I'm
because we captured
trying
some
not
good
to die
footage
right
on
now.
it. But yeah, it's been good. I've enjoyed just watching you play it, and that's a sign of a good game. Like it's
totally.
enjoyable to watch as well as to play, you know.
Yeah.
But I want a movie. I want like an animated movie with like Mario and the Rabbids, because I think
Okay,
it would
well,
be
I was about to
so
say
cool.
we're getting a 3D animated movie in April
We
next
are.
year.
We are.
From the
we
guys behind Minions, we need Minions versus Rabbids versus Mario
Oh, can
Party.
you imagine if Minions and Rabbids got together? So much chaos would just ensue. It would be amazing. But it'd be just so chaotic, you wouldn't know what's going on. So yeah. For me, this past week, I've been playing nothing but A Plague Tale Requiem.
I've
Which
started
is the
that now
sequel.
myself.
Oh, nice, cool. I'll look forward to talking to you about it once you've finished it. Yeah, so it's a sequel, obviously, to A Plague Tale: Innocence, which was actually one of my favorite games when that came out. And I loved it. I think I beat it in about 17 hours roughly. And obviously I picked it up on Game Pass because it's on the Xbox Game Pass, which is awesome. So I played it on PC. I will say that when I did first install it, there was a ridiculously huge day one patch, which was something absolutely stupid, like 45 gigabyte or something like that. But it seems to have fixed a lot of the performance issues for me that a lot of the reviews were mentioning, like the frame rate issues and stuff. So generally speaking, the game for me was pretty smooth. But I loved it. Like it is very high up. It's one of the best games I've played this year. It's very, very high up on my list. It's very much a game of the year contender, I think, at the moment, but it may well be challenged by God of War Ragnarok, which is obviously coming out on the 9th of November, which I'm looking forward to.
Boy!
I can't wait. I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, like it took what was great in the first game in Innocence, and it's still got the great things from the first game, like the stealth, and obviously you play Amicia, and obviously you've got, you know, your brother Hugo you've got to protect. You are children. You are very much children, and you are very vulnerable as a result of it. Although Amicia does get a little bit more kick-ass in this one. She's a bit more seasoned, should we say. But you still have limited resources. So when I saw the trailers, I was like, oh no, are they just going to go full on action? Is that what they're doing? Like, you know, with the new crossbow. But thankfully, well, I say thankfully, but you do have limited resources. So you can't overuse it, and you have to pick and choose how you approach certain scenarios. And you can go in and just be completely stealthy and sneak past everyone. You can obviously use the rats to your advantage as well. But it's just gone bigger, just bigger into not necessarily like map size, but just the sheer scope of it and the feel of it. Yeah. And the look of it. Even the voice acting has stepped up a level. Like if the voice actress for Amicia is not nominated for an award this year, I will be really pissed off, because she was incredible. Absolutely. Like it was a game that I got really emotionally invested. And I think because I played the first one, I felt more connected to these characters because I'd been through all of that crap with them in the first one, right? And how Amicia and Hugo obviously bond. But I got seriously emotional, like in some bits. Like this game really did affect me. I literally wanted to like reach into the monitor and just give her a big old hug. But
you're gonna rage at the Game Awards this year, potentially.
Probably.
I'm intrigued, especially
Elden Ring's probably going to win everything, I'm predicting. But I really did enjoy it. It's weird. It's like it's gone up a level, like a Naughty Dog quality of a game in terms of like the level designs. Some of the action set pieces felt like they've just been lifted straight out of like Uncharted. Like 4 or Tomb Raider. There's some crazy set pieces. And just the volume of rats, oh my god, like they are very menacing in the sequel.
So much rat.
So many rats. But yeah, I don't know how much of it you've played, Edge. Still very early days with it.
Very early, so I've gone through. I've started the tutorial. There was a bit of frame rate issue, so when you mentioned the patch, I didn't know because I downloaded it straight away. I didn't know if there was a patch to do after that.
Yeah, there's a patch. Yeah,
so I'll probably see about that, and then because it was a bit sluggish at times, like it was a bit kind of jittery.
I didn't play it in 4K. I dropped it to 1440, and that allowed a nice, pretty smooth 60 frames per second for performance on the game. So I would say it depends on your graphics card and obviously how powerful your PC is. You might want to drop down your resolution, change your textures to medium and stuff like that. But like, have you played Innocence?
No, but I am aware of Innocence.
You really should not. Stop. Don't play anymore. Do not play anymore. Get hell, I will gift you Innocence if you don't own it. Like, that is how passionate I am about the fact that I think you should play the first game.
Alright, so before we go any further then, Plague or Witcher?
Witcher, obviously. There's no comparison there. It doesn't mean I can't appreciate how good a Plague Tale is, and it's very good. But what I would say is...
Aloy or Amicia?
Oh God, Amicia every time over Aloy. Because Aloy's not a flawed character. Amicia is. She's much more likable, and she goes through more of a. I
don't know. I think Aloy's quite a flawed character in places.
Have you played Forbidden West?
I have watched you play it.
Yeah, you have, but yeah, we'll get to that later. That's a whole different.
Yeah, we'll do that in a troll.
We're digressing. But like, you really should play Innocence. You can beat in about 10 hours, so it's not a super big game. But I really do think you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't play Innocence before you play like Requiem. I really do think you're doing yourself a disservice, and you really won't get because the whole thing about Hugo, a lot of that is explained in Innocence. So it is very much a continuation. So you will be very lost. You won't understand what they've gone through and the whole dynamic and why Amicia is so haunted and what's going on. You really should play Innocence, Edge. Right, you very much should do. But I don't know how much it is on Steam. It was on Game Pass, but then it left, frustratingly. So you probably missed that, but I don't know how much it is.
Yeah, because it'll be like a thing of buy the game and then play the new one kind of thing. So
it was on Game Pass originally, but definitely look into it, and I think you should pick it up for sure.
Yeah, I've been slow, so I've just started playing the first one now.
Yeah, I think you lent my copy, didn't you?
Yeah. Disc. Physical media.
Physical media. Just hand the disc to you. There you go.
So for me at the moment, I have been playing with Strife through Dying Light for the last couple of sessions. We'll be probably playing a bit more this week to continue it, because I think we want to try. Well, we're talking about it, and we think that we intend to complete Dying Light and then play Dying Light 2.
Have you completed it before, Dying Light? You've played it before, right?
I've played it before, so it was one of the very first games I bought on the PS4 when I got a PS4. I got Destiny. I originally got Destiny, then bought Dying Light, got Dragon Ball Xenoverse, and then Monster Hunter World came out a bit after that.
Right.
So it was a very good time to get a PS4 back then. And Dying Light I enjoyed, but I kind of dropped out because back then I wanted a really good co-op survival zombie game, and everyone kind of ducked out very early on. So it's been nice to kind of play it. It's aged actually fairly well. They did a Left 4 Dead event in it, where if you turn it on, you get just basically fuck tons of zombies. If you watch part 2 of the video, I'm on a wall at one point just using a sword to knock them all away from me.
Yeah, I did see it. I did see how you left Strife to die.
When?
I got jumped on. He got basically jumped on by a zombie at night time. We just saw this zombie just leap out and jump on him, and like you just ran
past him,
right past him,
right next to him.
Shoot come on, Edge, team player.
Save your friend.
No, he was like, he said just go, and so I did.
I don't think he did.
That's probably before he got jumped.
Before I got jumped.
I'm so watching
if you noticed in the video, he leaves me to die so often.
I don't think I saw any of that. You might have cut that stuff out.
I did cut a little bit out because he's an absolute. He's not afraid to defend himself, but he literally. You saw the video part 2, and let me bring back all the monsters to just kill you, Edge. And it was like, what?
I did see that you mostly went melee with it, kind of like what you're doing with Left 4 Dead. Is that seems to be your thing for zombie games? Just mostly going
melee.
melee?
Well,
Melee,
with Dying
melee.
Light, using guns makes noise, and so if you're using a gun,
that's a thing, is it? That's kind of
yeah,
cool.
if you make too much noise, more zombies will appear,
Uh-huh.
or you'll get the special infected showing up. So
Yeah.
at
I am
night,
interested in it because I know at night time the zombies get more aggressive, more dangerous.
well, the good thing about it is like if, for example, you or Dante picked up the game, okay. So say me and Strife had completed the game down the road right now, okay. The only thing that it would affect your playstyle is we could drop you items that we've crafted so you can use it. That's it.
Oh, nice.
We would be able to play through your story as with you. So we would not we wouldn't be rushing through the story. We would be doing your story, as it were. But we would still keep the same levels we leveled up to. So, for example, all my skills will still be there.
Can you level as you play with us or not? Yeah, you can.
I can still level. So it means that there's always a benefit to playing the game wherever you're playing with. So Strife's actually a lot further on than I am. So when he comes back to help me out, he guides me to where I need to go a little bit because it's been a bit rusty. But
he's like pre-scouting.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
and we've had a good time with it so far. Yeah, I mean, I think you can tell in the 2 videos we've done so far, we are a married couple.
Enjoying yourselves. You do sound like a married couple, but you do seem to be enjoying yourselves.
Yeah, and I think
I did see Strife shot you. I did see he shot you off of something, and then he was laughing his head off about it.
Yeah, he shot me off. So there's like a zombie that has like a gas tank on the back of its back. So I went up the side to avoid it. And so he shot it in the canister, which knocked me off into a floor full of zombies.
So have you stopped your Witcher Punchy Run?
I'm still doing the run. So officially at the moment, I am grinding.
Where are you?
I'm still in Velen at the moment. So what I'm doing at the moment is collecting all of the places of power, and I'm working out what I can craft to increase my skill level, as it were. So far, I can mind control shit. I can create an explodey shield. I can melt stuff, and I've started to go down a different tree to try and boost my attack power with my punches. So fingers crossed, you will see a much more badass Geralt without swords. There will be another part coming up. With my current timescales at the moment, I want to get this Edgecast out this week, and then do another episode of 2 Blokes Kill Zombies, and then the Witcher episode will probably be out by next Tuesday, I would think, maybe Wednesday, because I want to do a bit of recording. It depends, because at the moment I'm kind of playing through it and then going back into recording. Once I've started, I mean, I've not died yet. I know that's what you want to see. You want to know, have I died yet? No, I have not. And have you used a sword yet? No.
Should do a punch counter or something, like how many punches you get in or something.
Well, I mean, that would be interesting. How many things have I punched to death? I mean, I've fought a golem with punches and bombs. I've fought like a water demon thing. So there is limits to what I can do at the moment with it, but it's been good for teaching me how to dodge mechanically wise. So there's been points where I'm fighting 3 or 4 dudes, and I'll do like a pirouette dodge, punch him in the back of the head, dodge again, flamethrower one dude, drop a bomb down, and then just become like the Batman pretty much, which has been kind of fun. Other than that, let's see. Kind of preparing. I've been playing Final Fantasy XIV. They've been releasing some new content and that at the moment for like relic weapons, new housing event stuff, Halloween events. So that's been a game that I played ongoing throughout the year through Endwalker, and that's been good fun. With the new variant dungeons. Been playing the Plague a little bit recently. Going back through my backlog of games. So on the Switch, I've just gone back into playing a little bit of Fire Emblem again, to get ready for the new Fire Emblem Engage in January.
The Colgate game.
Yeah, Colgate.
I'm gonna give it a fair shot, definitely. I also need to go back into playing some Monster Hunter Rise because they've released some new content for that as well, some new monsters, some new challenges. I cannot wait for you guys to join a Monster Hunter because you are gonna piss yourselves.
Maybe if it comes in the sale, I might pick it up. I've just got so many things and like that I'm kind of got on the back
there's the
burner.
PC version as well, which has been kind of fun, but there's no cross save, which is kind of a shame.
Well, I got a couple of like reward and recognition things from work, which was nice for obviously doing a good job. So I've got about £75 worth of Nintendo credit. So I'm waiting basically for sales, and I'm mostly think I'm going to pick up some like really good handheld indie games, but I might be able to use the money towards getting the expansion, and once it comes down in sale or something. But there's always a big winter sale, isn't there, and a Black Friday sale and stuff. So I'm definitely going to keep my eyes peeled for that.
I definitely would say that at the very least at the moment, the expansion is good. From what I've played, I mean, I could be very biased, but me and Strife, we've had a very good time with it. They've added a lot of extra stuff compared to the base one, and I'm enjoying it. So I'm kind of keeping my eyes peeled because I reckon they're going to probably announce Monster Hunter for next year at some point. Wow. I reckon the next 7 to 8 months we're going to see them mention a new Monster Hunter.
I don't think it'll come out next year though. I think it'll be the year after.
Yeah, I mean they'll probably announce it
because that'll be. Wait, when did Rise come out? Was that last year, 2021? Rise?
Yeah, Rise came out April of last year. All right,
so that's 2 years. Okay, that's not too bad because it would be 2 years. I just don't want a yearly cycle. But 2 years.
Different teams.
I know they are, but I get bored of that. Even with Assassin's Creed, I know there are different teams that work on different games, but I'm fine with like having a 2-year gap between 2 big Monster Hunter projects. So you can fully, play everything of one and all the DLC and stuff. But I would like to see a World 2 because I did really, really enjoy World. So and Iceborne, I really loved Iceborne. I miss the Clutch Claw. I mean, I do enjoy Monster Hunter Rise, don't get me wrong, but the Clutch Claw, I really miss it. I love the Clutch Claw.
I suppose, I'm
hoping it comes back.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, I'm assuming that they'll probably are spending a bit of time to develop this because when they went to the new world, so I can only imagine that the sequel would be based in the new world that they went to. So that could be. There's so much potential there for new monsters and all sorts coming through from that. Yeah. So now that we've kind of gotten through, I think 23 minutes in at the moment. So now that we've had a bit of a fun catch up. So the topic that Kate kind of brought over to us for this episode is remasters.
Yeah, remakes, not remaster.
So remakes. So
yeah, like from the ground remake. That's what I'm meaning.
So there's been obviously a spate of remakes recently in the last few years of all classic games, and obviously in the news there's been The Witcher being said that they're going to be remaking that, which has kind of mixed. I've had mixed reviews or mixed comments about it.
I think most of what I've seen has been quite positive. I think a lot of people have said sort of that's a remake that makes a lot of sense because the first game is very dated now. Like when you go and it's only on PC. So like for console players that never got to play the first game and maybe only played the second and the third, like it's awesome that they get to play like the first part in the trilogy. But the first one is so janky. Like to go back and try and do the combat and the UI, like it that's a game that deserves a remake, so that's kind of, I was excited about that, and that got me thinking about like other games that would be really cool to see a from the ground remake, and what I mean by that is a game that they are going to take what was there but completely remake it, for like modern gameplay and that kind of thing. So that was something I'd be interested in hearing, like if there are any particular ones that you guys want to see.
So there's a couple, but there's some certain provisos with that in terms of, because I know it's very, very kind of nitpicky, but there's a couple that I want to see, and one of them, which is a bit of a niche game, is Legend of Dragoon on PS1. Yeah.
That's the one where you fly on dragons?
No, that's
Legend of Dragoon. That's Panzer Dragoon, right? What's Legend of? I've never heard of that.
So Legend of Dragoon was a Squaresoft art or Square Enix kind of RPG that came out just a little bit after FF7, and it has a slowly growing fan base. I loved it because it was one of the first RPGs to get voice acting. The combat, though, is still great as today. It's all about additions. So whenever you attack an opponent in game, because so it's still got like traditional turn-based combat. You will do a combo attack. So you're going to press X as 2 squares circle in to to time the attack, so you do more damage. And so when you start off, you might do 1-hit combos, and you'll earn like points back to do more damage or to replenish dragon energy, so you can transform into dragoon mode more quicker.
So why would you like to see this remade then?
Because
do you want to keep the turn-based combat, or
I want to keep the turn-based combat, but I think it deserves a remake because one, it has never been released digitally on any game software shops. It could do with a good bit of polish, a bit of a touch-up. I think it would be really good. So I think it would be a good rival in some cases for an alternative to Final Fantasy in some cases. Because
so it's a JRPG, is it?
Yeah, JRPG.
Cool.
The idea was that you were a character that could transform into a dragon knight. So you'd have wings.
That
And
sounds cool.
dragon armor, and each dragoon was different, had different elemental properties. Really good fun. Music was great. Combat was great. Visually, it's dated very badly, but the combat still holds up really well. Good tactics. I personally love it, but it has aged badly when it comes to one of the old kind of pre-rendered locations.
Right.
So if you remember, like Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9, they had pre-rendered backdrops. So like they don't age very well in some cases, and it sometimes gets a bit warped in places. But other than that, still holds good water there for me. There's other ones, but I'll mention them in a little bit. Dante, Kate, what about you?
Do you want to go next, Dante?
Yeah, I could do. There's various odds and sods I've thought up, but like one of the more say obvious ideas is like bringing yay oldie handheld games such as like the old Game Boy ones to a better remaking world, like the Mario Land 1 and 2, for example, because it was just like built for console. Like the first Mario Land was very pixely, barely looked like nothing from the previous games, done by a different like department in Nintendo, and it's like that only had a handful of levels, I think barely even 12 or something, and it's like, they could really expand on that. It would be nice if they packaged 1 and 2 together in a way, but yeah, because that was the first appearance of the whole Daisy in that new world as well, it's like, you could like go deeper into that and maybe like update everything obviously to the mechanics and graphics of current Mario games, and then just add more levels, add some maybe cutscenes and stuff like that. That would be really cool. 6 golden coins was genius in its own right, but
that was the very first Mario game I played. Like that was the first, and when I had a Game Boy, like that was the one I got in trouble with my dad when we were at the airport, and I was playing like 6 golden coins, and I didn't want to stop playing, and we had to get the plane. My dad confiscated my Game Boy. I got told off.
Hold the plane.
But it's a great game. It's a very good game.
Yeah,
I'd like to see that remake.
It's a good one. And then like I know there's like some color mods and all this and that, but imagine seeing that in like foot, because even the mechanics on that felt off in a way. There were a few things where it's like, the jumping isn't quite right, this isn't quite right, and it's like, you could update that. And then there was all the Wario Land games afterwards. I think I only ever actually played the first one, so it could be a good way of collecting all the sequels that never got to play as well.
So a little bit. Do you mean like a little bit like how they treated Link's Awakening when they did the remake of that for the Switch, but do it for the Mario games, like that kind of treatment?
Yeah, it would be nice if they added more. Like I know Link's Awakening added like that kind of dungeon builder thing on top of all the gorgeous graphics and all this and that, but it didn't add too much to it other than that kind of weird side quest.
Yeah.
And
other than it looking pretty.
Yeah. But even so, that would be really good, because like it's especially for players that have never even been able to touch those games unless they're like in some eShop or ROM hack or whatever. It's like you don't really get to play the old Game Boy games these days. So that would be a new audience that would enjoy them, and I know a few people as well as myself that would be like, oh, let's play through all that again, and it would be cool having some new content with it. And then I was trying to think back of like games like I played and enjoyed back as a kid that I don't think have had remakes yet. I remember Trog. Did anyone play Trog?
No.
Oh yes, is that the monkey one?
No, it was
I think of something else then.
It was dinosaurs.
Oh no, I haven't played that then. What am I thinking of? There was something where you played a monkey though, but never mind. I digress.
Monkey Ball. Trog, because I played it on the NES, and it was 2-player, so me and my brother would play it quite often. And one time I found an arcade machine where it had up to 4-player on it, and I was like, "What? There's 2 other dinosaurs playable?" And
they just like green and blue.
Yeah, well, the blue and yellow were the 2 originals, and then I think they added like purple and orange or something like that.
Okay.
But Chog's like the name of the one-eyed cavemen that are chasing you, and you're essentially like these cute little dinosaurs that run around collecting eggs like Pac-Man would collect pellets.
That's cool.
And like if you got to a pineapple, you would turn into a massive T-Rex and be able to run and eat them. Almost like the power pellet in Pac-Man again. It's like it was very like
How did
I know
this game not get copyrighted for like all of these
because
games?
because it looked very different.
Yeah.
But,
oh god, yeah, no, I never saw that. That's kind of cool. I've just having a look at it on my phone.
The one-eyed cavemen would come up with new techniques every so many levels, and there'd be this little mini cutscene of like, oh, we could like invent the wheel and roll it along the corridors, try and squish them.
That's
we could like invent springs and try and jump on them and stuff like that. It's like, oh man, you could do some proper really good like cutscenes and that. But that once again was a game where it was like, oh, it's lots of fun to play. But I went back to it not too long back, and I was like, whoa, and I've rinsed through most of the levels and it's done. And there's no real ending.
Well, that's the thing with all the games, because obviously the capacity for space and memory and stuff, like they just had to limit the size of them, didn't they? It is funny when you go back and play like all the games, and you're like, God, I remember it taking me a lot longer to get through, kind of thing. And you finish it in like 3 hours.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I've skilled up.
Yeah, we were like that when we played Aladdin, the Mega Drive emulator. We played Aladdin. We're like, holy crap, are we on the last level already? And we did it all on like one stream or something, which was just mad. So yeah, I get it. Yeah, it'd be nice to see them add levels to things. That's what I like. I always like. That's one of the things I enjoyed about the Final Fantasy VII remake. Part 1, I should say, because obviously we've got other parts coming. But I like how they. I know. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But I liked how they added so much to it, like so much extra content was fleshed out, and like the characters were, given the side characters were given more spotlight and stuff. And where you go to that place, what's it called? The town, where you have to dance, where you dance.
Oh, the Honeybee Inn.
Honeybee Inn.
The Honeybee Inn and stuff and all that bit. And I fucking love it. I can't wait to play it back through again. I need to get back to playing that through again.
I think what would be good for you would be to play the Midgar section of the original Final Fantasy.
I have done. I've played it.
I got to play it straight after.
Yeah, I played it. So as soon as I finished the remake, I went back and played the original for the Midgar section. And I was like, dude, that took me like 2 hours.
Yep.
That was so short. And I was like, oh, man, I'm stopping here because I don't want to know what happens.
But then you're ready for the next bit, and that comes out.
I am. Yeah. So what I probably will do is like play the remake, and then I'll play that bit of that section of the game to see how it's different. I'm going to do it that way, because I get what you're saying, Dante, that they're changing the story a little bit. I understand. But because I hadn't played Final Fantasy VII all the way through, I got so much more from it the first time. It really had an impact on me. That's why I'm super looking forward to the next bit.
Hmm.
But yeah. So that's a good
It
example.
definitely explains why they're only doing 2 more sequels to it, because if they were trying to do a 1-to-1 remake but fleshed out, which we all originally thought and were hoping for, it would go on
forever.
like so
Wasn't the
many
original
parts.
like on 3 discs?
Yeah.
When they sold it was on 3. Because I remember when I worked at Game and selling
Final
it to
Fantasy
people.
VIII was on 4 discs.
Yeah, and it was on 3 separate discs. I remember that. Yeah.
And because I don't think they're going to do the overworld map anymore or anything like that. They're going to make it probably more linear.
Well, I mean, to be honest, the world map isn't necessarily needed as per se. It's nice to have the scale and be able to explore. But if you're going to do that, there needs to be stuff in it. And the problem with open world maps in these games and you're remaking it is there's no need for it. It's just game lengthening a little bit.
Yeah. If you're going to pad it out and expand it, it needs to be good quality. And by quality, I mean it needs to be there for storytelling and development. None of this padded crap. Fetch quest X, Y.
Don't really
whatever.
do grinding random
so
encounters
it
anymore.
felt like everything that they added into the Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1 was purposeful. And was put there for a reason, and it added to the experience. There were some things where there were a couple of side missions where you had to go and help NPCs right in the world that weren't there, but I think they were more put there to kind of flesh out the areas so that when catastrophe struck, right, you felt it more because you're like, oh my god, like I know people that live there, right? Like I helped them, and stuff like that. So I think all of those additions were very, very well made. So I'm intrigued to see with the Witcher one whether or not they're going to add stuff to it, or if they're just going to keep it as a blow by blow remake. Because there was a lot of stuff in there anyway with side content and side characters.
Yeah.
I'm very intrigued to see if they will add to it in that way.
Like I was saying, definitely wanted more added content to certain like platformers and that. But when it comes to RPGs, such as like on the Game Boy Advance, we had Golden Sun 1 and 2, which were pretty biggish games, but they definitely deserve some sort of remake. Or because like a lot of people didn't get to play them as well. I got very far into the first game, got lost. And just had to give up and couldn't bring myself to restart it again. So I never actually completed the first game, even though I own it. And the remake would probably, be a push to get me back onto it. And then, of course, the sequel, even if I was in the mode to go, oh, well, I need to buy that because I've completed the first one. It was a pretty rare title, and I never saw it for sale anywhere. So that's like another one. Actually, speaking of RPGs, I got like the Illusion of Time or Illusion of Gaia in America. That was a really
Legend
good...
of Legaia?
No. Illusion of Time, I think it was called in UK. But I think they called it like Illusion of Gaia in America.
Okay.
For reasons.
Okay.
But that was a really good RPG. Same with Terranigma. And it's like, I could see them being remakes.
Yeah, I mean, there's too many. I mean, if we're going down the RPG remake route, there's too many I could mention.
Yeah. And I haven't even talked about mine yet. So should we limit how many we're going to each talk about? Otherwise, this will be an 1.5-hour podcast.
I've talked about one so far.
You've talked about one, I know, but Dante, I think you've mentioned 4.
Yeah, 4? Yeah, a few.
Yeah,
I've got my advanced walls when it turns up.
I know. I obviously am happy that we're getting a Witcher 1. I'm very happy about that. But there are 2 other games or franchises I would really like to see a remake for. The first is Legacy of Kain. Yeah.
Just talking about that at the moment in terms of a sequel.
Yeah, there is. Game. Yeah, because obviously Square Enix made the really fucking dumb decision to sell Eidos Montreal and Crystal, all their Western studios basically, to Embracer Group, and along with that goes the license for Legacy of Kain. But I know there's been like a demand for that, nearly as long as there's been a demand for a remake of The Witcher 1. But I loved Legacy of Kain, like Legacy of Kain and then Soul Reaver, like, the the whole saga. Like I think it was it a trilogy or it was 4? I think it was 4. You had Legacy of Kain, then Soul Reaver 1, Soul Reaver 2, and then there was another one where they both were in it together. So I think there were actually 4
I
games.
feel like Dominion or something like that. Or...
Yeah, or Revenants, I can't remember. But so I would
6
love I would love to see a remake of Legacy of Kain. Like, just it's so cool. It's got such great characters, really cool lore. The voice acting was just sweet. And yeah, it's just vampires done cool. Like, it's just really cool. So I would love to see a remake of Legacy of Kain. And I know a lot of people want a remake of it, and I think it's been like certainly long enough. I think the first Legacy of Kain game, I looked it up, and it came out in like 1996, I think it was, or 97. So that's a long time ago.
Same voice actor as well for Kain for the whole of them.
Yeah, so I would love to see that done, like from the ground up remake, like you know, modernizing the gameplay. Keep it as an action, an action adventure third person. But just up the graphics, keep the story. I don't want them to mess with the story. Like, the story was good. Keep the story as is, but just better graphics and gameplay. Maybe the camera, I don't know. We'll see. It can be a bit close to you or whatever. But just so cool. Like, I haven't played it in years, and I'm very tempted to go back and get it. I think I saw the original games on sale at Halloween, and they were like something ridiculous, like 69 pence.
Yeah,
for each of the games. Like, they're so cheap, and I'm like, I am tempted to go back and play them again, but also half of me's like, but I'm holding out for a remake, and I kind of want to like have it be so long ago that I played it that it's very hazy in memory, so I feel like I'm experiencing a game for the first time, which technically you are in a remake because you're experiencing a new take on it, right? And sometimes they change it up a little bit. So Legacy of Kain is the first one. And then the second one I would really like to see a remake for is Ocarina of Time. The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time.
Not just a remaster. A proper
remake. I don't want a remaster. They've done a remaster.
They've done several.
They've done several. Like, probably the best one was on the 3DS, right? The remaster. It's probably the best one that they did for the remaster. But I want a remake. Like, I want a from the ground up remake. I haven't played it myself, but I watched Fish play it, and it's great. I mean, for a lot of people, I think a lot of people, it's their favorite of the Zelda games. Seems to be anyway. It seems to be a beloved.
I'm
game.
probably going to be I'm going to be that guy.
You're always that guy.
I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to see a remake of Ocarina of Time.
Why? You don't want them to mess with it in case they ruin it?
Because, like, with any remake, when it comes out, there's that level of risk and reward. So whenever a remake is when something desperately needs it. Like, if you look at Ocarina of Time, that game has been re-released on God knows how many consoles for Nintendo. But at the same token, it's aged still fairly well, and it's still quite well beloved. And the problem you've got, especially with certain fandoms, is when you touch something, and even if you just do a bit of a polish up, they'll go, it's not a remake, it's a remaster. Or if you were to do anything that would fuck with the gameplay, or visuals, or the layout of the level, they don't like it. And
it would need to be a remake, like, so that it's modern, like modern graphics, like, and I just think it would be really cool. Like, and there's some really cool characters like in it. Like, it has one of my favorite versions of Zelda in it, and like, I just think I'd like to see it because I haven't played the original. I would like it, and I think it would be really cool to bring it to a new audience. I think, unfortunately, for a lot of younger gamers, should we say, for you and me and Dante that have been gaming for a very long time, and maybe people like Fish that have played the originals and played it way back in the day, right? And have seen there are a lot of people that have never played those games and probably will never play those games because they're considered old, right?
Yeah.
And they won't be able to get hands on, but it's such a great game. So I think sometimes remakes are awesome because sometimes they introduce new people to that franchise that maybe otherwise might not get into it or might never have played it. Like, for example, the Resident Evil remakes, right? Like, for example, Final Fantasy VII remake. There are so many people that probably haven't played the originals, but now they get to experience it and get to play that.
Suppose.
So in that way, that's why I like remakes, and that's why I kind of disagree with you on that one. But I get what you're saying. I do think Nintendo fans can be very overprotective of their franchises. I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but I do think they can, and I think sometimes they just have to. It's not their property. It's not, they don't own that game.
No,
it's the developers, and if they want to create a vision and they want to bring it out to new audiences, as long as they don't butcher the original and they treat it with respect, right? I'm all for it.
Yeah.
So there's some good points. So the difference between we were talking at the beginning when we mentioned remaster and remake. Okay. So with a remaster, a lot of the time, I think some of the comments that we've had been said so far have been things like, oh, I love this game, I love the gameplay, just need to have a touch up of the graphics, bring it up to modern day standards with maybe a bit of camera control, so that people can enjoy what was there. And if we look at Final Fantasy VIII remaster, if we look at FF9 remaster, FF10 remaster, these are all kind of games that their gameplay mechanic or accessibility has been there, but they a fresh coat of paint so that new fans can enjoy it. Now, the issue of a remaster versus a remake is where a game is so old or inaccessible that it deserves that full-on treatment for a new generation. And now, if we look at, say, for example, some of the games that we've mentioned, so like some of the ones that Dante have mentioned, you can't get a hold of it whatsoever. Legend of Dragoon, for example, I mentioned early on. There's another one I was going to mention is part of the remake I'd love to see is Parasite Eve, another Squaresoft horror survival / RPG game.
Gets requested a lot.
It's requested a lot. That you can't get a hold of anywhere. I got a copy of it when PS3 allowed you to download American PSN games, and that was the only way I've been able as a European to play it. Parasite Eve 2, and then the third birthday one for PSP. Yeah, you can play those and you can get them much easier than the first game. So as a remake, or even like that, I mean, that would be something that I would be quite interested in. But it's a bit of a fine. I think all the games we mentioned would all deserve a really good remaster / remake, but it have to be very cautious because with a lot of these games, they can spiral out of control. If we look at like all the remasters and remakes that have been coming out recently, there's a whole new trend of wave of people, of nostalgia, as it were. So some games that would deserve the remake treatment don't get looked at because they look at what was it? The Last of Us. That got a remake.
Oh, it didn't need a remake or a remaster. Neither does Horizon Zero Dawn, because it's not an old enough game, because you can still play through The Last of Us. You can still access The Last of Us. The Last of Us already had a remaster, which modernized it and was a fantastic game. I think there's two ways to view remakes, right? There's obviously from the consumer perspective, right? And I think a lot of the visceral reactions to The Last of Us Part 1 remake, and then obviously the rumors about Horizon Zero Dawn remake, is the fact that those have come out within the last less than 10 years ago, right? Like I think Zero Dawn came out 5 years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I don't know, but they haven't come out that long ago. And I think what people are getting pissed off with Sony is them going, oh, we've brought the Last of Us, we've remade The Last of Us with The Last of Us Part 2 quality of facial animation and graphics or whatever, which no one asked for, but then they're also then charging $60 or $70 for that, or £60, £50 for it, but not really adding much else into it, right?
Yeah.
Whereas like remakes, say for Resident Evil 2, for Final Fantasy VII remake, they added a lot remaster the game, right? To really make it feel like a whole new experience, so people didn't have a problem with buying that again. So yes, you're right. There is the difference between remaster and remake, but I think sometimes with me, the view from the developer is like, for example, it would be kind of cool to see a remake of Resident Evil 1, right? Because originally they wanted to do that in first person, but they never had the technology to do that. So I think sometimes a remake is not only kind of cool for the consumer, but it's a great opportunity for the developer who created that game to actually be able to create the game the way that they had envisaged it, but hadn't been able to do that at the time because of the limitations of technology, which are no longer there. Yeah. So I think those are the kind of remakes I can get behind, right? Like, and that's why I can get behind the Witcher 1 remake, because obviously there was significant limitations, and also that was CD Projekt Red's very first venture into like making their own game. So it was very rough, should we say? And obviously they learned with every iteration of The Witcher. But you know, they had great stories to tell, and now they can tell that great story, but in the way they'd always wanted to, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like The Last of Us Part 1 remake and Horizon Zero Dawn remake, for me, that does not feel like something that's come from that developer. For me, that feels like something that's come from Sony, because it's a great money-making thing. So, we can make an easy £60 or £70, right? By calling it a remake and charging, like, that pisses me off, right? So I'm not behind those kind of things. But yeah, I am if it's like being able to bring it to either to a new audience or to be able to like create the game in the way that the developer originally had wanted to do so but couldn't at the time, and that it feels fresh enough and new enough and different enough that it's worth buying it again, right? Like the quality of life improvements they made in Mass Effect 1, like it really felt like I was playing a different game. Like, and so then I bought the trilogy again and I got to play through it all again, which was awesome. But the first one, that had the remaster, deserved the remaster slogan, but part 2 and 3 did not, because the changes were not significant enough for me to class them as. But the first one definitely did.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I got a bit opinionated on that.
Well, yeah, I mean, as I said before, with a podcast, it's all about the discussion and it's just getting the views out. And we can always disagree. So anyone who's listening, anyone who listens who wishes to make a comment below, me and Kate,
we are friends and we are quite passionate about gains. Yeah.
we
will have to share in our views.
Yeah. So I myself am a bit of a slow burner when it comes to my opinion, but I guess it's an opinion.
Whereas I put my opinion right out there.
You do. And my kind of view is to be like devil's advocate. So when a comment is made or a view is shown, and it's more to kind of, I love to, I mean, Kate will say that in her own channel, I will debate more, not because I disagree or agree with that particular view, but because I want to get to the root of it and get more out of it. So with, for example, like you mentioned, so a couple of the good comments there. We'll probably have to end this in a little few minutes, but we can do a part 2 definitely for those who want to see a part 2. It's with remakes, as things have been mentioned. No, a lot of the comments, a lot of the points you've made make a lot of sense. You want technical limitations of some of the games that are out there. It would be good to kind of get these kind of, like, look at Discworld, for example, like the technical limitations on some of those games. It'd be kind of nice to bring them back. The issue that with any kind of remake is, I think it comes down to the technology of the nowadays, and can they do something better with it? Resident Evil 2 worked really well because they had at that point worked out a new engine, but they'd worked out how to kind of bring back horror. When we look at, say, how the series has evolved, like I mean, I'm going to be difficult again here. Like Resident Evil 4, that's aged fairly well. So would you do a remake or a remaster of that? And when I've seen the gameplay of the new one that's coming out, some people might say that's still kind of a fairly recent Resident Evil, but that's over almost 20 years old. In terms of how old that game is. But it is one of those ones. It's like it's a very narrow slope for me for what games should deserve a remake, as it were. Like some of the Tekken games, some of the original Tekken games, they should remake those in some cases because they were fun, and you get people into the story of what these characters were. If you're looking at racing games, I mean, where do we draw the line when it comes to genre? I mean, JRPGs are a very good contender for remakes. Platformers, we've got Spyro, Crash Bandicoot recently.
Yeah. Spyro was a great remake. Spyro was a fantastic
Mario 64?
remake. Well, they've done technically a remaster, haven't they? When they released the All Stars bundle, which I still haven't played, and I need to do that.
Well, yeah, there was a 3DS version or DS version that had the 4 different characters you could play as: Yoshi, Wario, Luigi, Mario.
Yeah, that should have got the remake.
Yeah, that's it.
But I mean, it's one of those ones of sometimes a game desperately needs like a retouch up or like a remaster, as it were. Like if you look at Final Fantasy VIII, they didn't do too much with that, but visually, it's to me perfect as it is now. Whereas with FF7 doing a full remake, there's so much love or demand for that that you can give it the treatment that it deserves. I don't know. I think it's definitely one of those ones where I think I'm hoping that there'll be plenty of comments not only on your channel with this debate. If you want to leave any comments on my channel as well, Edge Plays, please leave them in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what games you'd just love to see a remaster or remake of. So I'm saying both here because I think that's a bit fair. If you want to see a part 2 of this video series about remakes or you want to see other things we want to talk about, please leave a comment below or let Kate know on her channel. I'd be up for doing a bit more of that. Again, thank you both for joining me. I appreciate how passionate people can get, which is always good fun. But and again,
we're all passionate about games. That's why we do this, right? So,
oh, exactly, yeah.
And people can hear that and appreciate that, I think.
Well, definitely, yeah. If people are interested in the next couple of weeks towards Christmas, we will be doing a 12 days of Edgemas. That's what I'm calling it now. It's not going to change now. So I keep thinking it's kinky. I don't think it is. So there will be a fun kind of advent calendar made on the channel where we will open a door and we will have like little unique challenges to do. If you have any suggestions for like challenges that we could be doing between me, Kate, Dante, Fish from Crack On Gaming, Strife, let us know some suggestions. It will be randomated, so even I don't know what we're going to get, which will be fun, to say the least. There's been some good suggestions on your channel, Kate, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get some more.
Oh, totally, yeah. And I've got a few suggestions, so anything you guys want to think of, let us know below. Yeah, again, thank you, Kate, for joining me, and Dante as well. I hope you've had a good time with this podcast as well this evening.
Thank you for having us again.
It's been an experience.
Yeah, it's been some interesting games. There's a couple of games I haven't heard of, so I'm going to check those out, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. So. And yeah, again, thank you very much for joining everybody, and I'll let Kate and Dante do their closing.
Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Hope you guys have a great week. Take care, everybody, and as always, happy gaming.
Johnny!
Peace out, pretty much. Take care, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.